I have probably been blocked 70 times. If you have not been banned or blocked, then you are not senior enough. Instead of just freelancing, like on Fiverr or whatever, and that's a good first step, but what if we could take these guys to US wages at $10,000 a month? How would that change the economy? How many of these software houses have the connections in the United States? The Pakistanis here are not aware of all the businesses in the US that are dying to hire people from Pakistan. Facebook is more top of the funnel. It's for telling stories, driving people to the website. And Google is better for demand. When you get disapproved or banned, 2/3 of the time, they will turn your account back on. If you're mean, saying, I spent so much money with you and you guys suck, is that person who's like trying to do their best, how likely are they gonna wanna help you?
Hi SEO experts and social media marketers. Today Dennis Yu is with me. We'll talk to him about SEO and social media marketing, especially Facebook advertisements. Hi Dennis, how are you?
Pleasure, Asad.
Thank you for giving us time and visiting us and giving this interview. Dennis, in our discussion you told me that off-page SEO is more important than on-page. Why do you believe it?
I think increasingly so because there's so much content being produced. And there's a lot of good content, but the stuff that really is good for the search engines is great content. Because great content will continue to be shown, and it'll be shown on YouTube, it'll be shown on social, it'll be shown on Google search results. And there's so many ways to spin out websites using WordPress. There's now AI tools, as you know, that just generate blogs. You can't even tell that it's fake generated content. That the signal that the search engine is looking for is the engagement of the users, and that can only come from great content. So whether that content lives on your site or the content lives on someone else's site and is like a guest post, it's still going to be the great content. Content is the source, it's the fuel that powers the engine.
Well, for the good content, we get lots of off-page links. Do we need to work on our own page as well?
On-page happens naturally with a content management system. So if you have WordPress, which powers most of the internet, you choose your categories and tags, you choose your in-body links, then that's already going to take care of 95% of your SEO. You make sure your website loads fast, it's on a dedicated host, so that any traffic that you bring, whether it's from email or social or a guest blog post or maybe you're on TV, that's really all you need to do. I feel like on-page SEO is handled with the SEO plugins that are in WordPress. It could be, Yoast All-in-One or WordFence, or there's so many different SEO plugins.
So for the off-page SEO, what is the most important strategy you use?
I like to publish articles on highly relevant sites. So for example, I'm well known in SEO and social media. So the top organizations in SEO and social media, I write guest posts. And then those sites overall already rank in the keywords that I want. So Social Media Examiner is the #1 website for social media marketing. And I think it's got a domain rank 89 or 91 or something like that. So I have a bunch of articles that are there. Each of the articles that I write might get 200, 300 links. The overall site might have 500,000, 600,000. So I'm getting SEO power, juice, if you will, from the overall domain, but the article itself is getting linked to. And certainly you know that Google is looking at not just the authority of the domain, but of that particular article. And because that article then links to me, I'm getting juice from multiple places. And over time, as more people, for example, I wrote an article on how the Facebook algorithm works. And that was 6 years ago, but that's still getting a lot of plays. That's on a podcast, which has gotten 30,000 downloads, because it's me and Michael Stelzner talking about this. So every month, another 2,000 people will listen to the podcast, come to the article, look at the tips that we have, and some of those are bloggers, and they'll link to us, they'll share it. Those articles get 10,000, 20,000 shares, as you've seen. So my SEO is continuing to go because it's off-page SEO, and it makes more sense for me to put it on those external sites than on my site, right? Because that site has 3 million, 4 million members. My site has maybe a few 100,000.
Okay. Dennis, for the influencers or big website, this is an honor that Dennis from all the Yahoo employee writing on their website. But if a person, nobody knows him, they will not allow him to write a guest post on their website or on their blog. How he or she can manage to write a guest post on these websites where you are writing?
Well, you'd be surprised. because a lot of my friends have big sites and they'll do things like have a podcast, they'll have a conference like the one we were at together a couple days ago. And so you have all these speakers that are sharing their knowledge, all these experts that are in a community, but what % of the time are those speeches turned into blog posts?
Yeah.
Maybe 5% of the time, 10% of the time. So what I've advised friends of mine is volunteer to help out with digital marketing and turn those things into articles, repurpose videos into articles, and then they'll give you authorship often, right? So I'd be willing to work for free if I was brand new and I didn't have authority, I didn't have a network. I would volunteer for the Qasim Ali Shah Foundation saying, I would love to help you be a content writer. I would love to help repurpose video. I would love to watch the videos of Qasim Ali Shah and pull out the different snippets and put those onto Twitter and be able to figure out which articles reference, which other person. So when Rihan Alawala gives his talk about, changing the mindset, which is what the foundation is about, changing the mindset to be able to help Pakistan, I'd find all the other times that Qasim Ali Shah has talked about that and that Rihan has talked about that particular topic. And I would write a summary article. Or I'd write a listicle, right? On the 10 most powerful things that I learned from the Qasim Ali Shah Content Creator Conference.
What?
And I would give that to you as a guest post, and you would probably take it, right? Even if I was nobody, right?
That's great.
In fact, even if you didn't know who I was, and let's say I attended that conference a couple days ago with all the content creators, and I made a great summary, and it was well written, and let's say I'm nobody. I'm just some student at some university, and then I said, I give you this article, and I say, I loved the conference so much, I was so inspired, I wrote this as a summary, and I would love to put that as a guest post. What do you think?
I'll post it. Definitely.
And so we've encouraged friends to do this, and it's worked thousands of times. And that's one
very
of the
good
most
idea.
powerful way to get links.
That's very good idea. Dennis, we are talking about the SEO, search engine rankings. Specifically, if we talk about the Google, did you mention some top 5 things when we are doing SEO we should relate and we should work on that 5 things?
Top 5 things for SEO is number 1, make sure you have 100 web pages on your domain. So a lot of people, they start their website and initially it's like, wow, we have a new website, they're so excited. And then 2 weeks later, nothing happens. So Google's looking at the signals, and I know this because I built the team at Yahoo and a lot of the people on my team went to go work at Google. So it was all the same roles, all the same people. And the search engine is looking at your site to see what kind of recency and frequency there is. So if there's been no new posts in the last 5 months, they assume the website's been abandoned. So we like to see fresh content. And the education site that you showed me, I think had 83,000 web pages.
Yeah, 83.
Yeah,
that was
so
lpdunia.com.
Yeah, and it's continuing to create content. So the mark of trust is, do you have enough content? If you don't have at least 100 web pages, then Google's like, well, maybe this is some very weak, thin affiliate landing page kind of site. So that's number 1.
Number 1.
Number 2 is I need to see at least 50 referring domains.
50.
So why is that? So is it better to have 100 links from one domain or a few links from 50 different domains? So the reason why unique linking domains coming in is important is because Google assumes everyone on the internet's a spammer. So they say, well, what are things that spammers couldn't do? Well, it's expensive for them to be able to have links from lots of different domains that are also on topic, that are also high domain authority. So if you have those 50 linking domains, that's pretty awesome, right?
Definitely. That's very good.
3, I need to see social signals. Now, search engines and SEO people will disagree with me on this, but I have data to prove it, so they're wrong. But we have definitely seen when we have social traffic, even if we run ads.
Even
to
Google
articles,
didn't believe it on his blog
Yeah.
that social, they don't give coverage to the social links.
Do they? So if I do a search on your name, if I do a search on any topic, you'll see, maybe the initials, first result there with, up to
Facebook,
6 site
LinkedIn.
links. But then what's below that? The Twitter carousel.
Yeah.
What's below that? The YouTube carousel. And on mobile, maybe I'm going to see AMP results, right? I'm going to see news. I'm going to see other kinds of...
Definitely.
Yeah. And on people's names, when you search someone's name, usually LinkedIn is the second or third result. Sometimes it's the first result. And it outranks their main domain, their LinkedIn or their Facebook outranks that. If you search my name, you're going to see Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube videos,
Same as
HubSpot, the articles that I've written on Fiverr and I having webinars. So the social signals absolutely play in the search results.
These are three things.
That's three things. So fourth thing is I want to see user experience.
User experience.
And arguably, if you're in a very competitive niche where there's a lot of traffic, a lot of people competing for these head terms, these very important keywords, then there's something different about the very competitive terms than the long tail niche terms. And what Google does is there's a different algorithm for these very top ones, and it's governed by something called RankBrain, which we hypothesized 10 years ago, but Larry Kim confirmed that it was true, where for those very top search results, Google is looking at the user experience. So people come to the article, and then they click back and they go to the next search result. That actually hurts them. So if you want to hurt a competitor, it's not just like click on the ad, click on the organic result, click back, and that sends a penalty to their site. So Google is looking at dwell time, just like on YouTube, they're seeing video completion rate and are people staying, how long, watch time. Google absolutely is looking at that. Why? Because they have things like Google Analytics, and they can see what users are doing. They can see the behavior on mobile. So they built a very sophisticated lie detector test to see when people are trying to trick Google into thinking, keyword stuffing and cloaking and other sorts of tricks, garbage links to try to pass garbage juice. So the number one hardest thing to fake is real users that are coming from real IPs in a variety of different browsers, so it's not like bot traffic, because there's people have tried to create bots to try to simulate these different things as part of ranking factors. But that's why it goes back to the good content.
Definitely.
So that's number 4.
Number 4.
And number 5, this is something that you will never see SEOs talk about. At least when I go to conferences and teach a bunch of SEO people, it's like this religious war, is advertising. I believe we need to do a little bit of advertising to get the traffic, because if you don't get users to your site, then you have a chicken and egg, right? If someone has a brand new website, and let's say it does have really good content, I don't believe that just because you build it, they will come. I mean, maybe you get lucky on social media and you go viral, or maybe you rank on this niche term and then someone discovers you and links to you from a major newspaper site. But I believe that just a little bit of advertising and a technique that we call the $1 a day strategy, which works really well on Facebook, but also works on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok, just to drive a little bit of traffic against that target audience. So if the niche is education, I'm going to target all the people who are influencers, right?
Yeah.
For example, a few years ago, if you did a search on Facebook advertising, which is a very competitive search term, I was number 2. Number 1 was facebook.com/advertising, so I'm not going to be number 1, but I was number 2, which is the best that I could have been. And the way I did that was, it wasn't because I bought a bunch of links or I tried to do SEO, is because I was in the media. So I was on CNN one time arguing with Mark Zuckerberg live in front of 3.5 million people, right?
Wow, that's good.
This big argument. And so that argument got picked up on the LA Times, the Washington Post, the New York Times, NPR, so all the big newspapers. Remember when Cambridge Analytica happened, right? And the whole Russian interfering with the US election thing. So I was the main guy. The newspapers came to me, and thus I got a lot of really high authority links. So the SEO people say, yeah, Dennis got all his SEO juice because he was the guy that was known. But remember that 5th thing I said was advertising? The way that I got that media coverage, the way that I got on the CNN, was I wrote an article saying, this is how the Facebook algorithm actually works. And then I used Facebook ads, and I targeted journalists. So I targeted people who work at CNN, not people who watch CNN, who work at CNN,
right,
who work at the LA Times, who work at NPR. So that's what we call $1 a day. So when all of these journalists see a few of my articles, and they're good articles, they're naturally going to think, well, we need to bring someone in and to talk about Facebook's privacy, talk about ads, talk about how do we protect ourselves, talk about all these things. So who do they think of when they want to bring someone to ask?
Advertising.
Because I'm using advertising so that they can see my content.
Advertising to the target audience.
Yeah.
That's very good.
Yeah.
Dennis, the first thing you mentioned that on our website we should have more than 1,000 web pages.
Well, ideally at least 100, depends on what category you're in.
There is a scenario I do share with you, and I need your suggestions over there. There are some taxi services. Maybe they have some kind of, they can write blogs on riding a taxi, but there is a service, Locksmith.
Yes.
Locksmith in New York. What he do?
So local services are a different category. So local services are where there are thousands of people that do the same thing in different cities.
Yeah.
So there's a locksmith in Lahore, but I'm not gonna, if I'm in Lahore, I'm not gonna have a locksmith in Karachi,
Yeah.
right? If I'm a real estate agent in Islamabad, I'm not gonna, so it's all local. You know, a dentist.
We call it local SEO.
Yeah, so local SEO.
He has to create lots of pages on his website or not?
Yes, so locksmith is probably the most spammed category in local.
Yeah.
In fact, there's a few of these that are danger categories like locksmith, real estate agent, web services.
Web services, house services.
Yeah, because the SEO people are trying to trick Google, and it did work until just a few years ago. But the number one thing Google's looking for these local services is whether there's a physical office address.
Yeah.
So if there's not a physical office address, then you could actually, your competitors could actually
Google Map, we have to be on Google Map.
Yeah.
For the, okay.
You can still be listed in Google Maps without an address, but you can't show the address.
Yeah.
If you show the address, for example, we know that 30% of real estate agents, let's say you're a real estate agent, I can get you banned on Google My Business because I'll find something where you have broken the rules.
Yeah.
It's very, very easy to break the rules.
Definitely.
But the key is you want to have it used to be called Google My Business, but now it's called Google Business Profile. So if you fill out your Google Business Profile, which is like a mini website that Google gives you, you're trying to show up in what's called the local 3-pack. If you're in a certain category, like plumbing, or you're an attorney or a real estate agent where you have some kind of license, then you can actually pay what's called Google Verified or Google Guaranteed, which is actually an ad that sits above the regular search results. That's not part of the regular local 3-pack or like the regular Google advertising. And most people don't know about that. It's ads that Google creates automatically for you where you do really well if you have a lot of reviews and good reviews and you fill out your Google Business Profile properly. So your Google Business Profile and your website work hand in hand. The more content you have over here and the more link juice you have, the stronger your Google Business Profile is because you're creating something that's called signals.
Yeah.
And so a signal is any kind of signal, like a tweet or a review from Yelp or someone linking to you or having a post per week on your Google Business Profile or getting lots of reviews. Every one of these things is a signal. And most local businesses, let's say, you know, a Japanese restaurant in Islamabad doesn't have many signals. Most local businesses have so few signals that if you have just a few more signals than the other guys, you're going to win.
Definitely. And I have some clients as well, they don't have website, they just on Google Map and they get lots of traffic from the Google search.
And Google has Google Pages. They give you a free one-page website. You don't even need to have a website. If it's not competitive, if you have a lot of good reviews over time, then you don't need a website. That's true.
Yeah, definitely, and it's doing very good. Dennis, you've spent $1 billion on Facebook advertisements. Do you face same problems as we? You got blocked? Your ad manager ad account blocked ever?
I have probably been blocked 70 times.
70 times?
Yeah. And
thank God. We are not all alone.
If you have not been banned or blocked, and same is true on Google, then you are not senior enough, right? Yeah. Everyone I know has been banned many times.
I'm still banned. Yesterday I was banned. Just a friend of mine posted a picture on Facebook and mentioned that you didn't send me my picture. I just wrote, who will send a picture to him, I'll shoot him.
Oh yeah, that'll get you.
Facebook banned me.
Yeah. Well, Rehan and I, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, he was talking about our program where we would like to have everyone in Pakistan make 100,000 rupees a month. And Facebook just banned him because the algorithm categorized it as like multi-level marketing or spam or get rich quick or one of those. And this is Rehan Alawala getting banned, right?
Yesterday I am banned for commenting for 7 days. And this is what we face. But when your ad manager got banned, what you do?
So that's when you want to have your business manager set up properly.
Yeah.
So your business manager is your collection of assets.
Definitely.
So it's the different pages, it's the ad accounts, it's the different users, maybe you have some apps, and you want to have multiple administrators. Not 5 administrators, but at least 2. So I see hundreds of people that will come to me saying, my ad account got banned, or my profile got disabled, can you help me? And I'll say, did you set up your business manager appropriately? What's business manager? You need to be in business manager. Everything's in business manager. Or they did have a business manager and they were the admin and the other people were just kind of employees. There's 5 different roles, different levels, and there's,
definitely.
one admin. But if that one admin gets kicked out and there's no other admin,
That's useless.
yeah, so you got to have 2 admins.
Yeah,
Some
definitely.
people will say you need a second business manager account in case the entire, because if you're an advertising agency and you have many pages and many ad accounts, if any one of those pages or ad accounts gets banned, it can cause a cascade and ban everything inside of there. So the larger ad agencies, I've seen this happen many times.
Many times. I do also.
I have a friend who, he's the agency for Taco Bell, right? So Taco Bell is a big chain all over the place. And they had one disgruntled employee where she wasn't being paid enough money or something like that. And this guy speaks at all the conferences around the world about social media and Facebook and all this. And this one employee went rogue and then got that account banned. And then he came to me saying, Dennis, can you help me? And I said, you're the expert, you know what to do, right? And then other friends were like, help him. Like, come on, don't play the ego, just go ahead and help him. Like, okay, let me call up someone at Facebook to take care of this. But if you don't have someone at Facebook to take care of it, then if you're spending enough money, or if you're lucky, like in your particular vertical, or you're in an area where Facebook's trying to expand, then they have something called chat support.
Yeah, of course.
Right? So if you see the chat support.
Did you ever chat on the Facebook support?
Yeah.
I do also, but my feeling was they have a little bit more knowledge from us.
Yeah.
They're not enough knowledge of the product, maybe.
It's very new. But look at this. So Sheryl Sandberg, 12 years ago, she's the COO. She came from Google. Just like the Google people stole from me at Yahoo, Facebook stole from Google. So she's their COO. She was a head of sales over at Google before. And she said, we can save on our operating costs at Facebook by trying to use automation instead of hiring lots of people. So they have a group. Facebook has a group called GSM, which is Global Sales and Marketing, that has all the salespeople and the support people. And these are the ones who have to help you when you have a problem being banned or whatever it is. And they have only 5,500 people, maybe 6,000 people across the whole world. Imagine how many requests there are. Those 6,000 people are trying to handle everything that's coming in. So a lot of people, friends of mine that are small business owners will say, I got banned, my ad got disapproved, and then they get mad, and then, Facebook is just, they don't care about me because, I don't spend enough money or whatever it is. And I said, you are trying to pretend Mark Zuckerberg's, personally mad at you. No, the issue is there's only 6,000 people trying to handle millions of requests that come through. So if you are just nice to them and you wait a day or two, 2/3 of the time when you get disapproved or banned, 2/3 of the time they will turn your account back on. They won't tell you why they turned it back on, but they'll turn it back on if you're nice. If you're mean, saying, I spent so much money with you and you guys suck and blah, 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 how likely is that person who's trying to do their best, how likely are they going to want to help you?
Definitely.
So I made ad accounts in the very beginning. So I was one of the first advertisers on Facebook. So we would name the campaign, I love Facebook reps. And we'd put ad sets or ad names saying please do not disapprove. Need this to pay my rent, right? Because we knew that humans were reviewing this and they would see this and maybe they'd laugh and maybe they'd be less likely to disapprove our ads, right? So I think the human angle, people forget that, Facebook's this $1 trillion company, but there's a lot of humans that are involved. And if you're nice to these humans in any kind of industry, you're more likely to get what you want.
Yeah, this behavior is very important. That the person over there, he's performing, he's good to solve our problem, but he also has, he or she has a lot of lots of complaints and problems as well. Okay, then is one more thing. When we are advertising on Facebook and advertising on Google, what you prefer? What is the best?
Do you like your left hand or your right hand more? I view Facebook as more
I'm right-handed, so I like that.
Facebook is more top of the funnel. It's for telling stories. It's for awareness. It's for engaging. It's for driving people to the website. And Google is better for demand because most of Google's revenue comes from search terms. By the time someone does a search, they already kind of know what they want. But what if you're selling a product or service that people really don't know? Maybe it's a new startup. You have to generate that demand through Facebook, generate that awareness, build an email address, build remarketing audiences through things like Tag Manager and all the different pixels. And so search and social work together, basically top and bottom funnel.
Definitely. If I summarize that, you said that if we need awareness and branding, we should go for the Facebook.
Yeah.
And if we need where people already know about the product,
Yeah.
they are searching on the Google, then you should go for the Google ads.
Yeah, but it also depends on category.
Category.
So let's say that you are a car accident attorney, right? You're a personal injury attorney. You can run ads on Facebook just like you could run billboards and whatnot, but the main source of getting more clients is when someone gets in a car accident and they type in personal injury attorney.
Personal injury, yeah.
So that's demand driven. Or let's say that your toilet breaks and now water is everywhere and I need an emergency plumber to come right now. You're not going to go to Facebook for that. Yeah, taxi services. So anything that's on demand where there's people need it right now, then that's where Google is very, very strong because they're harvesting that demand. But if it's something where it's a new pair of basketball shoes,
Yeah.
or something that's optional, then Facebook does a lot better because there's time for consideration, this kind of thing.
That's right.
Yeah.
In the end, Dennis, I would like to know that how your website, free ebook, got so much traffic monthly. What you do?
So we have the #1 free ebook site.
Yeah.
We have 1 million people that come from Google typing in ebooks on literature or poetry or nonfiction or whatever. And we did this by publishing books from authors that were already well known, so then they would link to us to promote their book. And we also have a big email list. We've had this site for a long, long time. And so we've done something what's called white hat, meaning it's legitimate. It's not doing any kind of tricks, where we have lots of different websites that are pointing into this one big website. And because this website has so much traffic and so much SEO authority, we can rank on any keyword we want because we centralize the juice and then we can push to anyone else. For example, we're going to take this interview and turn it into an article. And then that article will link to you and link to related sorts of topics that you have. And it's good. And so Google's going to see that signal and say, this site that's about education and has lots of books is linking to Asad and is linking to Qasim Ali Shah, right? So that's good because it's showing relationships. And what we talked about before we turned the camera on, it's about PR. And PR is about relationships, and being really good at SEO is the same thing. You're just building those relationships through links.
Dennis, you are in Pakistan since many days. You visited lots of software houses, IT industry incubators, and different companies. What do you think about the Pakistani IT industry?
I think it's just starting. I mean, you can see folks like Sunny Ali and Saqib are doing a great job. Each of them have over 1 million people in their groups, but out of 250 million, that's not even 1%.
Definitely.
So the opportunity, and plus those people, most of them are still making only a few $100s a month. The opportunity for Pakistan to make US wages is what I see happening. So you probably remember my friend Mark came to the conference. So he makes $700,000 a year doing engineering. And that's not uncommon in Silicon Valley. So what if we could take our friends in Pakistan that are very talented and they know how to do cloud engineering and PHP and Perl and Python and all these things, and
blockchain.
we can, and instead of just freelancing like on Fiverr or whatever, and that's a good first step. Maybe you're making $500 a month, but what if we could take these guys to US wages at $10,000 a month? How would that change the economy?
Definitely.
But how many of these software houses and incubators and startups have the connections in the United States?
Very important.
Because they don't have the connections, then they have to go through Fiverr or Upwork or these other places. I want to build direct connections between the businesses, because I came from the US representing a lot of these associations, and I can guarantee you these people have no idea about Pakistan. And the other way, the Pakistanis here are not aware of all the businesses in the US that are dying to hire people from Pakistan.
Definitely. Then how it would be happen? How you can help them?
Well, we have Rihan Alawala, who is a super connector.
Okay.
And he's created these different groups, and he has the Rihan Academy. And he created a Facebook group for me called Digital Marketing with Dennis Yu. And he went live and talked about this several times, and now all of a sudden I checked this morning and there's 6,100 people in that group. And we're putting all this training out there for free. And I believe education, and I think you agree too, is the most important thing.
Definitely.
There's so much stuff, free stuff on YouTube. You can see our stuff. We do all these lives. Why not? Everyone who knows how to do something should share how they're doing it, and that will build connections. That kind of awareness, that kind of trust will help a lot of our Pakistani friends in IT become better known to friends in the United States. So I'm encouraging our friends in Pakistan to share what they're about, to share what they're doing, Because then the dentists and lawyers and real estate agents in the US, the organizations we train over here, will see these people. But our biggest challenge is we have trouble getting our friends in Pakistan to make short little videos about themselves. Maybe they don't like their English or they're very shy or whatnot. That's why Rihan's always taking all these selfies.
Yeah.
Literally, our friends in the US are more likely to hire somebody where they can see their face, see what they're like, than just like some profile on Fiverr.
Everyone like to communicate, like to do business with a person.
Yeah.
Maybe that is over the laptop, over the phone, but we need to talk, we need to see, we need to feel each other.
Yeah.
That's very important.
That's the most important thing.
Yeah, of course.
They can be really, really good at SEO, really good at building websites, really good, but if you don't have the personal aspect, it doesn't matter. And I know it's not fair, but that's the biggest problem I see.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dennis. It's very nice talking to you. Hopeful our audience would love to learn from your discussion and also from your website and your Facebook. They will love to learn. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me, Asad. Appreciate you.
Thank you.